Hello and welcome to the astrology forecast. My name is Sage, here as your eye into the sky, letting you know what the cosmic events are for the week, why they matter, and how you can use this information in your everyday life. Happy Scorpio season, happy Halloween, and of course, it just makes sense that Halloween falls during Scorpio season. It is truly the spookiest time of year. It's arguably the spookiest sign, and there is so much rich depth to Scorpio. Scorpios listening, if you are a Scorpio, if you have a friend that's a Scorpio, this month I'm offering 50% off of a solar return chart reading. That is a reading that basically looks at the next 12 months for you. It's a 1 year chart that we can essentially look ahead and see what you can expect for your personal new year. That's 50% off. Link is below if you're interested in that. November is coming up, you guys. I cannot believe we've already reached the 11th month of 2024. With that being said, monthly readings are available. These are very, very, very accessible. I make sure that if you are interested in just finding out what's going on this month, what cosmic events are hitting my chart, and what can I expect, $50 for a 1 hour reading. We'll sit down over Zoom and go through your entire month of November together. And again, that link is below if you are interested. Of course, make sure that you have already subscribed to this channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the like button if you're getting value from this video. Quick update, you guys. I know normally I do a weekly forecast, but I'm going to be switching that up a little bit. I'm actually going to be doing only 2 videos a month, but I promise you guys are actually going to get way more value out of this because these 2 videos are going to encompass 2 weeks at a time, and we're going to be going through horoscopes in order for you to understand more specifically what's going on in your chart. Now, again, horoscopes are based on your rising sign. So if you know your rising sign, you're in luck, as this is going to give you the most accurate interpretation of the cosmic events for the next 2 weeks. If you don't know your rising sign, totally okay. Go ahead and listen for your sun sign. I cannot promise the accuracy, but it will certainly give you a more specific understanding as to what you can expect for the upcoming weeks. So we're going to jump into what we have going on. We only have 3 major cosmic events happening over these next couple of weeks. So we're going to be really diving into those, specifically that new moon in Scorpio, but we do have some other things happening that are really important, as we actually have 2 retrogrades beginning, not now, but later on. And these are the retrogrades that are going to take us through the end of the year and into the following year. So this is something that you want to listen to, as this week's cosmic events are starting a cycle that's going to last until 2025. Really important to take note of what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the general overview for the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, make sure that you fast forward for your rising sign. I know this video looks really long. It's actually really not, because, again, you don't have to listen to the whole thing. Just go ahead and fast forward, find your rising sign, and listen to that so you can get a very good and accurate understanding of what's going on for you in the stars. So without further ado, let's jump into the cosmic events going on for the next few weeks. So the first major cosmic event going on is actually starting off the month of November. This is happening on Friday, November 1st. We have a new moon in Scorpio. So of course, this is right on the tail end of Halloween if you celebrate, which makes a lot of sense because, again, Scorpio is that sign that emanates the most kind of spooky vibes out of all of the zodiac signs. Now, let's talk a bit about Scorpio, because this is one of those signs that goes deep, right? Scorpio is fixed water. It's ruled by Mars, which is the planet that honestly is most closely associated with battle, war, and of course, motivation. So Scorpio is one of those signs that emotionally is very intense. Now, because it's fixed water, I always go back to the phrase still waters run deep, right? We've got a lot of water element energy in the sky right now, especially with the sun being in Scorpio until the end of the month. And of course, with the moon joining up with the sun at the end of this week, it is likely that we're going to be feeling a lot of emotions. But on top of that, that whole phrase, still waters run deep, means that we're not just staying on the surface, right? That was Libra season. And I love Libras. No shade against Libra, but Libra is known for being much more surface level. Libra likes politeness and social correctness, right? There's a sense of wanting to look aesthetically pleasing with Libra. Scorpio goes the other way. Scorpio's like, okay, we looked good, now let's get real. So with Scorpio season, we are going beneath the waters. We're going beneath the surface, and we're going deep, right? Scorpio is what basically rules over the bottom of the ocean, where most people don't want to venture to because it's dark and it's a bit scary and you don't know what creatures are down there. But Scorpios, you guys are brave. And you understand that in order to really reach new heights, you have to go down to the depths of darkness where most people are too afraid to go. Now, that's the theme of this new moon, right? So, this new moon is activating our emotional bodies because it's the moon, and the moon has a direct correlation with our emotions. But the moon in Scorpio is not super comfortable. In fact, this is one of the most challenging positions for the moon because, again, the emotional intensity of Scorpio can be honestly too much for what the moon is designed to handle. That's why when you have a lot of Scorpio in your chart, if you come to me and we chat during your reading, especially if you have a lot of Scorpio, there's probably going to be some conversations around any sort of traumas or past experiences that really helped shape you. And maybe these weren't the best experiences, but they did allow you to alchemize and come out the other side. Fun fact about Scorpio, you guys, it's not just the scorpion that the Scorpio is represented by, it's actually also the eagle. So we have the scorpion, which of course everybody understands the symbolism of that one. But a lot of people don't realize that Scorpio also is represented by the eagle and the phoenix, both of which soar very high in the sky. And this is to represent the fact that Scorpio has a very transformative nature to it, where it can take the darkness and transmute that into the light. I always look at Scorpio like the true alchemist of the zodiac because it's been given the hardest sometimes lessons to learn, and yet a lot of Scorpios come out on the other side healed and ready to help others do the same. So the theme of this new moon is certainly about healing, but it's also about going deep emotionally to places that you might have never gone before. That can be scary, that can be intimidating, and those are all qualities that Scorpio possesses. So we might see some emotional themes of jealousy, vindictiveness, possessiveness, obsession, right? All those scorpionic themes. We also might see themes of healing, of going back over things we might have repressed and bringing them to the surface. As again, new moons, any type of lunation, whether it's full or new moon, they often do bring our emotions up so that way we can face them and deal with them, right? Because when we feel, we heal. And that's really the motto of this new moon. On top of that, this new moon is also forming a very positive relationship with Saturn and Pisces, which actually stabilizes this moon in a lot of great ways and helps us to remember that while we're going deep emotionally, we do still have a responsibility, whether that be to ourselves, our family, or even to the world. It will definitely infuse a degree of empathy to this new moon and remind us that if we are looking to connect with another person or maybe to, I don't know, inflict harm on another person or to help heal another person, whichever end of the spectrum you're falling on, know that with that Saturn in Pisces, it's reminding us that anything you do to another, you also do to yourself, right? Because we are all connected, we are all one. And that might be a major lesson that we learn as even a collective, right? Especially with election season coming up, that might be something that as a collective we learn. So, new moon in Scorpio is also on the Day of the Dead, right? November 1st. So, really on theme with what Scorpio is all about. Scorpio is the zodiac sign most closely associated with death. And I use death because death is that transformative process, the most intense, deep, transformative process that we all go through. And Scorpio understands that, and Scorpio resonates with that more than many other signs do. So there might be a fresh start for you, a sense of killing off that which is not necessary in your life anymore and beginning a brand new chapter. As again, new moons are times of planting seeds, but these are deep emotional seeds. So be ready to explore maybe some murky waters during this week. Again, things could get some little spooky, but that's again the holiday, right? That's what we're here celebrating anyway. So just know this new moon is really starting off November in a very powerful, very intense, but also very emotional way. Make sure you stay tuned for your horoscope because we're going to go through and actually look at where this new moon is showing up in your chart so you can understand better about what seeds you're planting, where you're planting them in life, and what you can expect going on this week. Okay, now the second major cosmic event happening over the next few weeks is on Saturday, November 2nd. This is Mercury entering Sagittarius. Now, normally Mercury spends about 3 weeks in a sign and then it departs that sign and enters the next one. But this time around, Mercury is actually making an extended stay in Sagittarius all the way until January 8th. And that's because on November 25th, literally 3 days before Thanksgiving, Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. So yes, you definitely want to know where Sagittarius is in your birth chart, as that area of life is going to be experiencing a Mercury retrograde between November 25th and December 15th. So literally the holiday season, we are experiencing a Mercury retrograde. Now, there's a lot that goes into that. And of course, I will be discussing that more as November 25th approaches. But for right now, understanding that Mercury entering Sagittarius, while it's still direct, is an opportunity to kind of lay the groundwork of what this retrograde might look like for you. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius is a fire sign. So naturally, our words, our mind is getting kind of like a spark, right? A spark of inspiration, a spark of maybe some motivation, right? We're maybe feeling a little bit more passionate with our words. Now, on the bright side of Mercury in Sagittarius, this can be really beneficial for us looking to express more so how we feel. This is great for us looking to expand our mind. And honestly, we might even use whatever experiences that we're having to better inform our mindset around whatever area of life Mercury in Sagittarius is activating for you. So, because Sagittarius is this very adventurous, very spontaneous fire sign, be aware that these are themes that are going to be circulating through our minds and might show up in various ways. You might be more inclined to take a trip or to experience something you've never experienced before, so that way you can learn something you've never learned before, right? Because Mercury is the planet that loves to learn. But in Sagittarius, we learn through experience. We learn through trial and error. There can be a spontaneity here, which can be really amazing for putting us in circumstances and situations we never would have thought of, or it can put us in situations that maybe we shouldn't have got ourselves into. That's the spontaneity of Mercury in Sagittarius. Be very aware of speaking how you feel, maybe a little too quickly. Best piece of advice, think before you speak while Mercury's in Sagittarius. Now, again, the retrograde will certainly be teaching us that. I don't need to do that. Mercury's going to do that for us. But over the next few weeks, up until the 25th, this is the time to really feel out what this energy is like for you. Now, again, be aware on the 25th, that's 3 days before Thanksgiving. So if you're looking to make any travel plans and, maybe visit family during the holiday, please, please, please book that ahead of time. Make sure you've got whatever travel insurance you need. And if you're looking to get somewhere by a certain time, we already know that Mercury retrogrades can cause major delays, especially travel delays. So give yourself some buffer time, please. If you're looking to get somewhere by, let's say, that Wednesday or even Thursday, leave a little early, triple check your plans, have a backup plan in mind. All of this is necessary, and I'm telling you this at the beginning of the month, so you can't say you didn't know in time, right? That's why you listen to these forecasts, hopefully. And please make sure you're sending this to anybody you know that needs this information, because Mercury retrograde affects everybody. So that's Mercury in Sagittarius. Again, taking note, I will be going through in your horoscope where this Mercury and Sagittarius energy is showing up in your life. What house in your chart is this activating? That's essential to understanding more about this energy. But please know that while Mercury is in Sagittarius, we are looking for fun. We might use our words and our communication style in a way to entertain and to keep things lively, because it's a fire sign, and it's the sign that's most closely associated with fun and partying and all those more spontaneous activities that really bring us outside of ourselves. So let's go ahead. We're going to get into the third cosmic event. And then, of course, make sure you listen in for your horoscope, because that's really where you're going to see where this Mercury in Sag energy is showing up for you. Okay, and the third major cosmic event, and this one is pretty major as it's going to be characterizing the end of 2024 and the first half of 2025. Mars will be entering Leo on Sunday, November 3rd. Now, Mars will be in Leo, and it will stay here all the way until 2025. Now, it's doing this because it actually will be going retrograde. So like I said at the beginning, this is the second retrograde that's not starting this week. It actually doesn't start until December. But this Mars in Leo, we're going to be seeing themes of what's going on now, even into April of next year, when Mars will re-enter Leo after in a very long retrograde, where it actually retrogrades all the way back into Cancer. So if you enjoyed Mars in Cancer, you're in for some good luck and good news. And if you didn't, well, prepare yourself, because Mars will be in Leo and then it will eventually move back into Cancer. But before we get into all that, because again, this hasn't happened yet, let's just focus on Mars in Leo. Now, Mars entering Leo is pretty significant because Mars in a fire sign does quite well. It doesn't rule over Leo, but it certainly does do okay in Leo because of the fact that Leo is fixed fire. Now, fixed fire means that with Mars, the planet of motivation, as we get motivated, as whatever area of life is getting activated by this Mars and Leo energy, we are feeling a sense of motivation, a spark of energy, leadership, and wanting to take action on this area of our life. The great thing about Leo energy is that once we set our sights on something and we begin, we have a better chance of seeing it through to the end because Leo is a fixed sign, which means we have an easier time maintaining the things that we start. So if you're looking to begin something fresh and bold and new and exciting when Mars is in Leo, maybe you're getting creative, tapping into your inner child, which is a very Leo type thing, you might decide you want to go after something. And maybe in the past, maybe when Mars was in a different sign, you started it and didn't quite finish it. With Mars in Leo, there's a better chance that you'll finish it, although I will preface that the retrograde will certainly cause potentially some obstacles with that. So if you are setting a goal with Mars being in Leo in this area of your life, please know that you may not see the result of this until basically the middle of 2025. However, Mars in Leo is amazing for feeling a sense of pride and confidence in what we take on, right? Whatever task it is in front of us, Mars in Leo approaches it with a bit of bravado, maybe some ego, so that is something to be aware of. And like I said, a whole lot of pride, as this is the sign that's symbolized by the lion. Be conscious of drama, as Mars being in Leo can incite drama, as we might feel like the quote unquote drama queen, being that Leo is the sign most closely associated with royalty, and of course, a sign known for being dramatic. Drama queen energy is typical here. So be aware, maybe check yourself if you feel like you're starting to, kind of create that dramatic energy, either with yourself or in some sort of experience with other people. That's one thing. The other thing, like I mentioned, is pride, is ego. Those are all some things you want to be aware of. But ultimately, Mars and Leo, again, great for leadership, great for taking sustained action, and ultimately feeling proud in what you are doing and what you are accomplishing. Now, take advantage of this time because, like I said, it's not going to last forever. We have Mars in Leo until it retrogrades. And basically, by the beginning of the year, it actually won't even stay in Leo that long. It actually doesn't stay in Leo for more than about a month, and then it'll go back into Cancer. But with that being said, know that this is a great time to take action and to feel that fierce energy that Mars in Leo brings, especially before it starts its retrograde in December. And then things get a little bit wacky all the way until middle of 2025. Make sure also, guys, that you are listening in for the horoscope because I will be going over New Moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Sagittarius, and Mars in Leo. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to be going over all three of those cosmic events, where they're showing up in your chart, and how you can better work with this energy. So again, make sure that you are fast forwarding for your rising sign first, as that's going to be the most accurate. But if you don't know your rising sign, that's all right too. Fast forward to your sun sign, listen in for that, and that way you can get a more in-depth analysis of how the next 2 weeks are going to be playing out in your chart and AKA in your life. Aries rising. Aries rising, this new moon in Scorpio is activating your 8th house. Now, don't get scared. This is the house of death, rebirth, transformation, sex, taboo topics, and deep psychological issues, as well as joint finances or any sort of joint resources, shared resources. Now, I know that's kind of a mixed bag, but really what this new moon is activating for you, Aries rising, is how deep are you willing to go, especially when it comes to intimacy and vulnerability with another person. Energy exchange is likely to be the topic for you emotionally this week, where you might be having to go deep on psychological issues, perhaps power dynamics in relationships, especially pertaining to any relationship that you share some sort of resource with, whether that be money or something similar. It's likely, Aries rising, that this is the week when you emotionally are feeling whatever needs to come to the surface when it comes to your deeper connections with people you share intimacy with. That's going to be something that might really get activated and show you what needs to be healed in these relationships and what seeds of healthy, maybe more positive connections with these people in your life or with these parts of your life, whether that be the people that you share money with or the people that you share, close, intimate connections with. All of this might be showing you where healing has to take place in order to bring about greater trust and better emotional energy exchanges. Now, Mercury is entering your 9th house, which does mean that you might be really thinking about where you want to travel and where you want to go in order to expand your mind. You also might be really considering what your beliefs are and what your philosophy is, especially around higher education. Aries rising, this is an amazing time to consider going back to school, maybe getting a higher degree or another certification in whatever skill set you're passionate about. This is also a great time to start planning some trips. Now, again, keeping in mind the retrograde will be activating this house. So, Aries rising, if you're looking to go on a major long distance trip, especially between November 25th and December 15th, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you really take your time in planning that and create backup options so that way you're not stuck if things do go wrong. Last but not least, Mars is entering your fifth house. The fifth house is all about fun and games. It's also the house of dating and children. So, Aries rising, this is the time when you might be feeling more inclined to take action when it comes to your dating life, your romance life, even casual sex. You might be noticing that you're attracting partners that exude more of a Mars or Leo like energy. And this also might be the time, especially when the retrograde happens in this house, that you reflect on what type of dating partners you want to attract in your life, if that is or is not your thing. Simultaneously, you also are going to be experiencing some things going on with your children. This might be taking more action on building that relationship with them. You might be having more dramatic situations going on, maybe some obstacles when it comes to your parenting. Or if you're not a parent, you might be tapping into things that involve your inner child and really feeling into what that means for you. And again, when that Mars retrograde does hit in December, you might be having to take a step back and consider what is it that makes you feel fun and creative and passionate and alive, as this is not only the sign that Leo is all about, but you also being a fire rising, enjoy that as well. So make sure that you're tapping into some fun and feeling the fire, especially while Mars is in Leo. Taurus rising. Taurus risings, my first question for you is how have your committed relationships been going? If you're married, I want you to reflect on your marriage because this new moon in Scorpio is activating your house of marriage, committed partnerships, and anything that is considered a one-to-one relationship, oftentimes unionized by a legal contract. Now, during this new moon, we are planting seeds, and these seeds aren't really going to sprout until basically next year, right? May 12th, we have a full moon in Scorpio. That's when we're likely to see the fruits of these seeds blooming and really able to eat the fruit, right? But initially, right now, we're planting seeds around how we want our marriage and committed partnerships to look like. If there's any unhealthy patterns and habits, maybe some toxicity in whatever that committed partnership is for you, whether or not it's a marriage or not, this is the time during this new moon to consider what you want to keep and what you don't. This is the time when you might be healing and bringing up to the surface deeper repressed emotions regarding this relationship in your life that maybe you never have wanted to talk about. This could be something that you have buried deep, deep, deep down, and suddenly this new moon is not letting it stay deeply buried anymore. Now it's coming to the surface and it's asking to be looked at because when we feel something deeply, we can also heal it just as deeply. So that's that seventh house or marriage house getting activated for you, Taurus rising. And again, know that this is an opportunity because if deeper emotions are coming up that might feel intense and you are sharing this with your partner, know that it's actually for the best because it's planting seeds that you're going to be really grateful you planted in 6 months. Now, Mercury is entering your house of shared resources, sex, and all things deep and psychological and even taboo. Now, this means the conversation is shifting to what you share with your partner. This could be the joint bank accounts that you have with your partner. This could be credit cards that you have taken out with a creditor. This could be loans. This could even be inheritances and even debt, right? All of these fall under this umbrella. And so you might be thinking a lot about this, even taxes, right? All these topics that involve money, shared resources, and even deep, intimate energy exchanges like sex, that all might be topics that your mind is thinking about, that your mouth is speaking on. Even when it comes to topics related to transformation, whether that be the most intense transformation, death, or other transformations you're experiencing in your life, the key here is that you're thinking not just about those committed partnerships, but you're talking about how you can deepen that level of trust, intimacy, and even vulnerability with these certain people in your life so that way you can feel more deeply connected with them. Now, Mars is entering your fourth house, which means that you are fighting for the things on the home front. All right, Taurus rising, this is your time to really look at your home and the people that you consider to be your home. You might find yourself way more motivated to take action on maybe a house project, a renovation. Perhaps you're looking to move or to update your living situation in some way, shape, or form. Mars and Leo will definitely give you the motivation and spark to get that done. You also might find more tension, maybe even some arguments lingering when it comes to, again, that home life, that personal life. This can relate to your parents, your childhood. You might be going back over old things from the past, especially when Mars goes retrograde. This might be the time when you have conversations with parents, family members that maybe hasn't been had. Be aware Mars is the planet of battle, so you do want to be conscious, especially in a fire sign, that you think before you speak and check your ego a little bit when it comes to the people you live with, Taurus rising, because often with Mars energy, we can get really hyped up on our pride and feel so self-worthy that we forget sometimes how it comes off to other people. Ultimately, this is a great time to take action on your home, on your finances, and to plant seeds in your relationship that you expect to bloom in 2025. Gemini rising. Gemini rising, this new moon in Scorpio is activating your house of health, work, and service. Now, what this really means is that you're getting your routines in order. You're looking at your physical health and deciding on what you need to start doing in order to get to that next level, healthy version of yourself. This could look like beginning a new workout, starting a new diet, working with a new professional that's going to help you physically, maybe starting to see a different type of doctor, go to a chiropractor, get acupuncture, get a facial, some sort of beauty treatment. Gemini rising, this is your time to take care of your physical body. Whatever seeds you plant in terms of that area of life right now, you will thank yourself in the middle of May of 2025 when you see the results of the physical work you're doing for your body. Now, this is also a new moon for all health related things. So if you've been dealing with any sort of health issues, this would be the beginning of a new cycle where you might be able to plant seeds where you emphasize healing in your physical body. And this could be the beginning of a new chapter when it comes to your health. Also, Gemini rising, be very aware of new beginnings, maybe new relationships with coworkers. This even would be a great time to get a new pet if that's something you're interested in. Now, Mercury is entering into your house of marriage. And again, Mercury will be going retrograde here, but more on that later. Starting off with Mercury being in Sagittarius right now, this is the time that you're going to be having way more conversations about marriage and conversations with your spouse in general. You might be talking to your spouse. You might be deciding on new places that you want to visit together. As again, Sagittarius loves a good adventure. And because Sagittarius is a very positive sign, this is the time to really focus and think and even discuss, maybe use words of affirmation to share these things with your partner. Because again, when Mercury goes retrograde at the end of November, that could change where you suddenly start to reflect deeper on these committed partnerships in your life. Not to say that you're going to notice anything bad, but if you are aware that there's things that you might be reflecting on, try to focus right now, Gemini rising, on the things that are really positive in those connections and trust that if there's something that's not so positive, it will come to the surface when Mercury goes retrograde. Now, Mars is entering into your third house, which is your local environment. It's also the house that deals with the mind and all things communication. You might be really motivated. And again, you're a Gemini, so I'm sure this is going to be right up your alley. You're going to be really motivated to learn something new, to start to study new topics, maybe something that makes you super proud to know about, because again, this is Leo energy. You might be feeling more motivated to teach. You might start to show up to classes more regularly. Maybe you're starting at a new school. Or again, because this is the house of your local environment, Mars being here might motivate you to start going somewhere new that you haven't been. Or maybe this is just simply going somewhere that you have been, but you haven't been to enough, such as the gym or maybe somewhere with friends. Now, the third house is also the house of siblings. And so because and neighbors, I should say that. So siblings and neighbors, which are two groups of people that we often live around, right? So with Mars being here, please, Gemini rising, I know you're great with your words, but be very conscious of arguments with the people you live nearby or even with. Again, This could look like arguments with siblings. This could look like arguments with neighbors. So just be very conscious of your words, of your communication style in these relationships. At the same time, you might be feeling more motivated to take action on these relationships and maybe develop them deeper. And again, because this is a fire sign, this might be through movement, activity, or some sort of fun, enjoying activity or experience that really gets you to connect with these people in a way that's more playful, right? So there's kind of two sides. You could take the more bravado, proud Leo energy side of things when it comes to your communication and the relationships with the people that you live near and your siblings. Or you could take the more fun, creative, and playful Leo approach here. Both are Leo energy. And enjoy that time with those people in your life and be the person that introduces that more fun element to the relationship. Ultimately, Gemini rising, this is your moment to focus on your health, your body, your relationships, and your local environment. All of that's going to really feed your mind and make you really grateful, especially whatever seeds you're planting now with that new moon. You'll be so grateful in 2025 that you did those things. Cancer rising. Cancer risings, this new moon in Scorpio is activating your fifth house, which is all about your children, your dating life, your romance life, as well as any sort of creative projects that you have. Now, new moons are times of planting seeds. So naturally, this might be the time when you start a new romance, when you meet somebody and you start to get more connected with them on a more intimate level. Again, Scorpio energy loves going deep. Now, this can also mean that when it comes to children, Cancer risings, you are already very attuned to the motherly instincts, right? The Cancer is the sign of the mother, of the nurturer. It's the sign most closely associated with the moon. Now, this new moon in Scorpio in your fifth house of children does mean that this is a very fertile new moon. If you are looking to get pregnant and conceive, this would be the time that it could very likely happen, especially being a new moon, planting seeds. If you are in the market of getting pregnant, this would be the time that this could very likely happen. Now, on top of that, this new moon could bring up some things when it comes to parenting, especially if you already have kids or any sort of children in your life. Be very aware of the children in your life because it could be that deep emotional issues are rising up to the surface in order to be felt and healed so you can begin this next chapter with your kids or even with anybody you're dating in a fresh light. Also, if you are looking to begin any projects, any creative hobbies that you've been dying to get into, Cancer risings, I know you guys are really creative as it is. This would be the time to begin that project. The full moon in Scorpio is May 12th, 2025. Whatever seeds you're planting right now, whether that be with your dating life, whether that be with your children, or any sort of creative projects you've got going on, they are likely to come into fruition and fully manifest in May of next year. So you've got 6 months for this to really percolate. But in the meantime, this is the week. This is the week to plant those seeds. And if you have a person that you're looking to date, if you have been looking to add more romance to your current relationship, if you need to reset some things when it comes to your children or begin something really creative that you're passionate about, now would be the time to do that. On top of that, Mercury in Sagittarius is entering your sixth house of your physical health, your routines, your work, and your service. This is the time when you might be thinking a lot about your health. You might be talking a lot with doctors or any sort of health professionals, or maybe you're thinking a lot about ways that you can better care for your body, whether that be through food, nutrition, exercise, any sort of wellness practices or holistic practices. Whatever that looks like for you, Cancer rising, this might be the time when you're really focused on that. Now, Mercury in a mutable sign such as Sagittarius in this house for you could bring about nervous system issues. You might find that you're more likely to get overstimulated during this time, which could directly lead to an unregulated nervous system. Best recommendation for this Cancer rising is to take long walks because Sagittarius rules over the hips and the thighs, as well as doing any sort of hip opening exercises, potentially like yoga poses that really help to open up the hips. That'll help to alleviate any sort of built up energy, nervous energy with the nervous system, and to combat any sort of health concerns that might be happening. Now, on another note, Mars is entering into your second house of earned income and self-worth. You might be feeling more proud about the money you earn or you might be feeling more motivated to get more money. This is simply the house of money and how you feel about your money. It's also the house that does deal with food. And because you've got Mercury going retrograde in that sixth house of your health, food might be a big topic for you, especially over the holidays. And as a Cancer rising, you do have a real big connection with the stomach. So please make sure that you're watching what you eat and being mindful about what you consume. On top of that, Mars in your second house of money, this could bring some obstacles. This could mean that you have some issues when it comes to your finances. This could also mean that you have some more arguments when it comes to your finances, or you're simply just fighting for what you know you deserve. This could be looking for that raise and you're going after it and you're taking action on getting that new source of income or higher source of income that you've been really desiring. Setting that goal, Leo energy is fixed. You might find that you're more likely to achieve it. So overall, Cancer rising, tapping into your dating life, your children, your health, and your money. All these topics are coming really into the spotlight for you this week and will likely also be playing out over the next 6 months. Leo rising. Leo rising, this new moon in Scorpio is activating your house of all things personal and related to your home, even your childhood. Now, this new moon is likely going to bring things up from the surface that you probably haven't looked at in quite some time. That's because Scorpio energy tends to repress, tends to kind of push down whatever emotional baggage there is. And because this is the fourth house, this is the area of the chart that deals with all the stuff that you know exists, but nobody else does, right? This is kind of where you store your things that you don't want the world to see. It's your personal stuff that might be not the best, but also not the worst. So in this case, this is likely related to your home, your childhood, even your parents. But likely you might be noticing a reset when it comes to your home life. Now, this might look like wanting to completely reset the way that your home looks, potentially redecorating or renovating. You might be planting seeds around changing up your home environment, whether that be moving, getting roommates, not having roommates anymore, or having maybe family living with you, whatever that is, Leo rising. There are new seeds being planted in your home life. So take this opportunity on the 1st of November to really plant those seeds and decide what is it that you want to come home to every day. Because by May 12th, you are likely to see the fruits of this manifesting full force in your life. And so taking the opportunity now, emotionally, you might find that you have more things that you have to deal with, maybe some deeper repressed traumas when it comes to your childhood that you have to face head on. But at the same time, once you feel through this energy, Leo rising, you will also simultaneously heal this energy. And likely this will be the brand new start of something that you've been desiring on a deep emotional level. And again, by May, you'll see the fruits of that coming to life. Now, Mercury is entering into your fifth house, which is all about children, dating, romance, and creativity. So Leo rising, this is your house. This is the house that deals with everything fun and childlike and playful. You also might find that your mind and your mouth are really focused and talking about everything related to romance. Maybe this is the time when you're going on more dates. You might start seeing somebody new. This could be something where you're starting to incorporate more fun into your romance life. Also, children comes under this topic. So because Mercury is moving through this house for you, you might be having more conversations about children with your children, even talking more about your parenting style in general. Last but not least, Mars is entering into your first house. Leo risings, this is going to be pretty intense. Mars is not one to play around. Mars is the planet that does bring a sense of motivation, action, determination, but it also can bring obstacles, challenges, arguments, and anything that is a bit more resistant. And so with Mars being in your first house, Leo rising, you may likely feel more motivated to move your physical body, but I want to emphasize to make sure you stay safe. As when we ever have Mars in our first house, no matter what sign it is, when Mars is entering into our first house, we are more sensitive to physical injury. With it being in Leo, please make sure that you're not ego lifting, that you're not pushing harder than you think that you know you can, just because you want to either impress people, look good, or just simply not look weak. So this is something to be very aware of. Now, Mars in your first house also will give you a huge sense of motivation. So again, you might come off as somebody that's more athletic, who's more driven, who's more fiery in the way that you approach the things in your life. Now, again, Mars will be in Leo for an extended period of time. It will retrograde back into Cancer, but then it will re-enter Leo next year. So however you're feeling right now, take special note, because around April of next year, you are likely to be feeling the same thing. So pay special attention to what's going on, especially personally, as you might be feeling more motivated to take care of your physical body, even your appearance. You might be coming off more athletic, more driven, even more military-like, as sometimes Mars can bring a sense of like you're a soldier and you're really going into battle. So whatever that is for you, Leo rising, this is the time to take note of Mars being in your first house, as that's going to be honestly one of the most pivotal transits that you experience in 2024 and even going into 2025. Virgo rising. Virgo risings, what have you been wanting to learn about? What have you been wanting to mentally sink your teeth into? This new moon in Scorpio is activating your third house of communication, your local environment, and even the relationship you have with neighbors, your local community, and siblings. So I ask, what have you been wanting to sink your teeth into? Because this new moon is all about your mind. This is all about what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, and even you might be feeling motivated to teach during this new moon. Again, because it's a new moon, it's planting seeds. So this might be you beginning a new topic of study, starting at a new school, or even beginning to teach on something that you're really knowledgeable on. You also might find that communication with your siblings comes up, and it might be some deeper emotional conversations, especially being in Scorpio, that you really have to work through and again feel to heal. So be very aware, and if that's not with the relationship with siblings, it very well could also be with neighbors or anybody that you see on a day-to-day basis. If there's a place that you've been wanting to start frequenting, maybe the gym, maybe a new restaurant or something like that, maybe the library, whatever it is for you, this could also be the time when you begin going to that area or to that place in your community. So this would be the time where if you start going now, by May 12th, 2025, when we have that full moon in Scorpio, you might find a full manifestation of whatever that is that you've been either frequenting, whatever it is that you've been learning about, talking about, or teaching about. And of course, like I said, this is also the house of siblings. So pay special attention to the relationship you have with siblings, or even people that you consider to be like a brother or like a sister. You might find that new energy is coming in for you, and that you're able to potentially reframe or reset these relationships. But again, being in Scorpio, it's not without emotional depth and vulnerability. Now, Mercury is entering into your fourth house, which is all about your home life, your childhood, your living situation. Now, again, this could play right into the new moon, activating the house that deals with your siblings. But it also might just simply be that Mercury in your fourth is all about you talking about and thinking about your home. You might begin to renovate or change where you live. This might be buying and selling. In fact, this would be a great time, Virgo rising, to get into any sort of real estate, as Mercury is the planet of buying and selling, and it's in your house of homes, which does relate to physical property. Now, this also might be conversations with your parents, namely your mother or whatever motherly figure you grew up with. Any conversations that maybe needed to be had. Pay attention when Mercury goes retrograde by November 25th. It's likely that you'll begin to start having those conversations around Christmas, the holidays. Yes, Virgo rising, those conversations that maybe haven't been had, they're more than likely going to be had. Last but not least, Mars is entering into your 12th house. Now, Mars in your 12th house might feel a little less jarring. It might be a little less intense because of the fact that the 12th house is a very hidden place in the chart. But that being said, you might be feeling more motivated to spend some time alone, to take some solitude, and maybe even go somewhere by yourself, maybe serve humanity in a personal way to you, perhaps even going on a spiritual journey that's solo. Be very aware that because of Mars being in this house, mental health issues could come up, as well as hidden enemies. Mars is often the planet that deals with battle and war. Being here, it's likely that there's a war going on that you are not aware of, right? This can look like backstabbing, and Leo is the sign that rules over the back. So please make sure that you are double checking and qualifying the people in your life, as you might find, especially when Mars goes retrograde, that old things come up to the surface and you discover that the people in your life, there's someone there that is honestly maybe not meant to be there, right? There could be some deceit or some betrayal coming up for you, especially around the time of the end of this year when that retrograde does start, and even maybe going into next year. So please know that Mars being in your 12th house, in that house of isolation, is great for taking care and being motivated to take care of your mental health and of your spiritual well-being, but also pay special attention to the people in your life. Again, this relates right back to that third house of your siblings and your neighbors, but also it could be your family, it could be friends, it could be anybody that you know that might be plotting something that you're not super aware of. Libra rising. Libra rising, what is going on with your finances? This new moon in Scorpio is activating your second house of earned income. Now, this house also deals with all of your material possessions, as well as your feelings of self-esteem and self-worth. And so, Libra risings, this is the time when, if you have been desiring more income, which who isn't, this is the time to set that into motion, to plant those seeds that you're desiring, whether that be for a raise, a promotion. Maybe you're thinking about switching jobs or taking on a new source of income, maybe a side hustle. This is the time to start that, Libra rising, as this new moon in Scorpio is activating all things related to the money and the any sort of resources, the finances that you yourself earn. And so whatever that looks like for you, know that this is the time of planting seeds when it comes to your bank account and all the things that you own and you have possession over. In May 12th, 2025, that's going to be the full moon in Scorpio. And so whatever's going on for you right now, whatever seeds you're planting financially, maybe that's just looking over your budget and deciding on how you're going to spend your money and maybe balancing out that checkbook, as I know you're a Libra rising and you love to balance things. This is a great time to do that, to really look at what it is that you actually should be spending on and maybe cut back in some areas that you know you shouldn't be. If you feel like your finances are directly affecting who you are and how you see yourself and your feelings of self-worth and value, it's likely that this is going to become a center point for you this week emotionally, where if something's not right financially, you're going to feel that and you're going to maybe have it affecting how you feel about who you are and your value and your worth in this world. And so please make sure that you're setting positive intentions. And if you don't feel super proud about your financial situation and you're looking to make changes, this is the week to do that. Don't get bogged down in the Scorpio energy that's wanting to keep you feeling sad and maybe even like you're a victim to circumstance. No. Libra rising, take control of your finances this week. Set those goals, write down what it is that you desire to receive financially, put that somewhere in your home and manifest that, because I guarantee you by May 12th, 2025, you will see the fruits of that manifestation. Now, on top of that, you have Mercury entering into your third house. This is the house that deals with communication, your local environment, even your siblings. And so please know that this might be a time when you have more conversations with your neighbors, as this is the house that deals with neighbors and Mercury is the planet of communication. You also might be having way more conversations with your siblings or even people that you consider to be like a brother or like a sister. You might find that you are talking more to these people, building these relationships, and even having some more spontaneous conversation. Also, Libra rising, great opportunities right now to begin teaching or learning something new. If you've been wanting to teach a class or to attend a new class in your community, now would be the time to do that and watch what happens and unfolds over the next 6 months for you when it comes to that. It will feel really good because likely whatever is going on for you now and whatever you're beginning now, it will fully manifest for you by spring of next year. Last but not least, Mars is entering into your house of friendship, which can be great because this might bring about friends in your life that push you and motivate you. And you might be feeling way more motivated to make friends, to get out into community, and to go after whatever hopes and dreams and bigger life goals that you have for yourself. You might know what those things are, and you might take greater action on attracting the people into your life that'll help you get there. At the same time, Mars can bring some obstacle. Mars can bring fighting and battle. And so you might find that you're maybe having more arguments with friends over this next month or two. Mars will eventually, like I said before, it will go retrograde in Leo and eventually back into Cancer. But please know that that retrograde could also sort of have you reflecting on friendships and potentially even deciding on ones that are no longer needed in your life. So friends are going to be a main focal point between now and spring of next year. Please make sure that you're properly vetting your social circle, the organizations, teams, and networks that you're a part of, as you want to make sure that you create as much harmony as possible, since Mars is already going to bring a lot of fire, potentially some resistance. You want to be able to sort of combat that with as much harmony and good feeling relations as you can. Scorpio rising. Scorpio rising, this new moon in Scorpio is all about you. It's in your first house, which is the house that's most closely associated with you, your persona, and how you physically appear to the world. This is in many ways the mask you wear and how you show up with people. Now, this new moon is going to mean that a lot more energy and attention is on you. The moon is the emotional body, and it's in your first house of self, making you feel probably a lot more sensitive than usual. And so, if you feel like a lot more emotions are coming up for you, and maybe you have a harder time hiding these than you usually do, this is likely that's what's going to happen, because naturally the moon being in your first house during this new moon is going to bring about more emotions to the surface. And so during this new moon, you are planting seeds about who you are, about what it is that makes you tick, how you want to show up in the world, how you want to be seen, and in many ways, who you emanate. What is your aura? Now, it could also mean that you're dealing with body image things. And maybe this is the time when you reset and begin new intentions around how you're going to love on and care for your body and your image. You might decide during this new moon that you want to reset and change up the way that you dress, the way that your hair looks, something involving your physical appearance, as this is the house that does deal with your physical appearance. Overall, this is a reset for your persona, who you are, and just in general, how you see yourself and how other people see you. And so know that this new moon is starting things off for you on November 1st, but it won't fully manifest until May 12th, 2025. That's when the full moon in Scorpio will be active. And that's going to be when whatever seeds you're planting now around how you look, how you come off to people, and who you are, you're going to see the full result, the full manifestation of these seeds being planted during that time. Now, Mercury is entering into your second house, which is all about earned income. And this is a great time to start talking more about your money. Start thinking more, as Mercury is the planet that deals with our mind. Start thinking more about your income. Start maybe writing it down and looking at your budget, your spending, your income, and really seeing what it is that you are happy that's working. Because know that when Mercury goes retrograde in November, you're likely going to be reviewing your finances and potentially pointing out the faults. So while Mercury is in Sagittarius and is going direct, take this opportunity to really look at the good things about your income. Really focus on having an attitude of gratitude over what you have, as Sagittarius is a sign that loves abundance. And when we give good energy, we get good energy back. And that can really be translated directly over to our income and to the value that we receive. Also, Mercury is the planet of buying and selling. So great time to get into any sort of investments while Mercury is direct. Please do not make any financial investments while Mercury is retrograde. Please, this is one of the biggest things I will say about Scorpio rising is you do not want to make any sort of big financial moves when Mercury is retrograde during this time, during November into December. So while Mercury is direct between November 1st and November 25th, this would be the time to make any sort of financial moves. Do it now before Mercury goes retrograde. Also, I will include that could look like sales as well. I know I mentioned investments, but buying and selling, that also does deal with sales. Last but not least, Mars is entering into your house of career. So you've got a lot of eyes on you, Scorpio rising, between this new moon activating your first house of self and the Mars entering into your house of career. And honestly, this is your reputation in the world. You might find that you're feeling way more motivated to switch up potentially your labels, your titles, your job responsibilities. You might be feeling like you want to take action on something when it comes to your career. Mars also might bring some resistance, some obstacle. And so you might notice that you feel more maybe frustrated, or you start to have more issues with people that you work with, or even just in general, you might be having some resistance when it comes to your titles and responsibilities in your career. Mars in Leo will certainly make you appear as a go-getter and a leader and somebody that really knows what they're doing. But please know that when Mars goes retrograde, that will certainly have you questioning how you show up in the world and how you are seen, what your larger titles are. Overall, Scorpio rising, this is your new moon. Take full advantage during Scorpio season. The sun is shining bright in your first house, and you're really able to do the necessary emotional work to feel, to heal, and to do what you do best, to alchemize who you are and elevate to your highest potential. Sagittarius rising. Sagittarius rising, this new moon in Scorpio is actually quite hidden for you this time around. It's hanging out in your 12th house, which is all to do with your unconscious and subconscious mind, your dreams, your solitude and alone time, even your spiritual practices that are much more oriented with your more solo spiritual journey. This house also does deal with your mental health. So, all those topics that I just listed, you are hitting some sort of reset button. Maybe that looks like starting a new meditation practice or beginning a new sleep cycle or a new night routine that really sets you right for the evening. This could also look like choosing to take more time for yourself specifically this week. Sagittarius rising, I know you guys are usually the life of the party, but this time around, this week in particular, I know it's a holiday week, but you might find that you want to take some more solitude, some more alone time to sort of hang in the background, to sort of be in the shadows for a second here and really tap into your inner world. That's really what this new moon is activating. You might find some much deeper unconscious emotions that have been lingering in the shadows for you, maybe even in your unconscious, unaware to you. They start to kind of rise up to the surface, and now there's more energy here that you have to face whatever that is that maybe you've never really looked deeply at. Again, when we feel, we heal, and that's really the theme of this new moon. Now, again, it is beginning a new cycle that's starting on November 1st and culminating on May 12th, 2025, when we have the full moon in Scorpio. So, whatever spiritual practices that you engage in right now, whatever mental health practices that you begin, you may find that by May, you really are feeling the results of those practices, that you're really living into whatever that is that you desired for yourself. And again, this is a great time to pay attention to your dreams, as they likely are going to bring a lot of messages about what seeds you should be planting right now. Now, Mercury is in your first house in Sagittarius, entering there, and will, of course, be going retrograde there at the end of this month. A lot of energy for you when Mercury is retrograde, as it's the sign of your first house. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius before the retrograde, this is a great time to really be social and have conversations and really express who you are. Excellent time to maybe even learn more about yourself, maybe get a birth chart reading, or maybe go on some journey that really allows you to take in more information and knowledge and wisdom and ultimately integrate that into who you are, and then be able even to express it through either written word or teaching or any sort of communication. Last but not least, Mars is entering into your ninth house, which is the house of foreign travel. I know you love hearing that as a Sag rising. Long distance travel, international travel. Mars being here, you might be way more motivated to take that trip and to go somewhere, but know that Mars can bring obstacles. So please make sure that you are not only double checking your travel plans, but making sure that you remain safe when you're away, and that you're attracting people that are not super combative. You want to bring more peace into the situation to help combat that Mars energy. Also, Mars being here is the house of your philosophies, your higher spiritual beliefs, astrology, even. You might be feeling way more motivated to learn more about your chart. There it is again. Honestly, this could be a great time to dive deeper into your astrological studies or any sort of spiritual understandings and practices that you have. On top of that, you might feel more motivated to go back to school to pursue higher education. All of that could happen, but again, please know Mars is an obstacle at some points. It also is a motivation in others. However, when it goes retrograde, you might find that you have to take a step back and really reevaluate what it is that really resonates with your belief system, as well as where in the world you feel the most connected to, and where is it that you truly want to go and experience. As again, ninth house is all about travel and experiencing things that are foreign to yourself. Ultimately, this is a great time to go on a spiritual journey, to take a trip somewhere and to use those experiences to integrate them deeper into who you are so that ultimately you're able to express those and share those back out with the world. Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising, how have things been going with your friendships? This new moon in Scorpio is activating your social house that deals all with the friends in your life as well as the networks that you're a part of, any sort of organization or team, any collaborative efforts that you are a part of. You will likely be finding that you're setting new intentions around these things in your life, these friendships in your life, and planting new seeds around the community, the larger community that you are a part of. Now, this new moon will likely bring up emotions around the people in your life, specifically the friends. And you might find that any sort of deeper repressed emotions that you haven't fully expressed to your friends or about your friends does shine brighter during this new moon. You might feel more sensitive to the opinions of your friends, while at the same time, this new moon is planting seeds of friendship. So pay special close attention to the people that you meet during this time, as it's likely that these friendships could begin something that culminates in May, specifically on May 12th, 2025, when we have that full moon in Scorpio. This could really be where these friendships fully come to light and manifest as what they truly are, hopefully a really positive and happy friendship. Now, on top of that, Mercury is entering into your 12th house. So, Capricorn rising, your mind is going into your inner world, especially when it goes retrograde at the end of this month. You may feel like you really want to learn more about your dreams, about mental health topics that really pertain to you and interest you, maybe even issues related to your own mental health. You might want to be researching these things, thinking about these things, talking about them, and ultimately diving deeper into your personal spiritual journey, one that no one else can see but yourself. Right? The 12th house is the house of isolation, of solitude, and of spiritual work that, again, is very hidden from the outside world. With Mercury here, this is a great time to start meditating or even to start reading or even writing some books or anything that really allows you to dive into what you feel on a subconscious level and what it is that you think about when no one's around. You might find that you want to talk about those things, learn about those things, or even just intake that information through reading or other methods. Last but not least, Mars is entering into your 8th house. Now, this can be really good for taking action on any sort of old debts, loans, anything that is a shared resource with another entity, whether that be a spouse, maybe this is your partner's income, or this could be money that you've borrowed from some sort of creditor. This is the time when you might feel like you have to take action on these things. Now, beware that sometimes this can result in conflict, as Mars is the planet of battle and resistance. So know that obstacles could happen in this area, but you also are going to be feeling way more driven, way more motivated, and able to sustain whatever fire you put out there when it comes to shared resources in your life, anything involving intimate topics related to like taboo things, deep psychological stuff, even sexuality, as this is the house of sex. You might feel like Mars, especially being a very sexually oriented planet, that could be something that comes up for you during this time, whether that's a positive thing or something that you're reflecting on, as again, Mars will go retrograde in this house for you and will eventually then move into your house of marriage. So these might be topics that you're exploring over these few weeks and even few months. But ultimately, this new moon is really allowing you to see who's meant to be in your life and who's not meant to be in your life. And because Mercury is entering into that more quiet part of your chart, you're getting the answers when you dive deep into your subconscious mind. That's really where you are getting more information than anywhere else. So take advantage of this time, be social, connect with people, because again, by May 12th, 2025, you might likely find that these connections in your life are fully blooming and culminating into something that you've really been wanting. Aquarius rising. Aquarius risings, how have things been going when it comes to your career and the titles that you hold in the world? I ask this because the new moon in Scorpio is activating your 10th house of career, public reputation, and ultimately the legacy that you leave behind. Now, this new moon will likely activate a lot of feelings and emotions surrounding how you're seen by the whole world. What do people know you for? If that doesn't feel as aligned as you know it could be, this is the time to plant those seeds and set intentions that are more geared towards who you want to be and what it is that you want to attain, right? So this career energy is really taking off for you during this new moon. Now it's emotional, it's Scorpio. So if there's been repressed energy and emotions surrounding your career, maybe any sort of dissatisfaction or any sort of emotional issues that you haven't addressed, you might find that those things come into the spotlight during this time. But fortunately, you also are being given a huge opportunity to set a new course when it comes to your career. As the full moon in May of 2025 is going to be when everything culminates for you career wise. You might find that you reach new pinnacles during this time or that things hit their peak. Now, right now, we are at the bottom of that mountain. We haven't fully reached the peak. So, what tools are you looking to bring with you on your journey? This is the chance for you to determine what that is and who it is that you want to be when you reach the top of that mountain. Now, Mercury is entering your 11th house of friendship, which means that you are thinking and talking to the people that are going to help you get there, right? So consider the people in your life, the friendships in your life. What groups and organizations are you a part of? And are they helping you to reach what it is that you ultimately desire? What are those bigger hopes and dreams that you have for yourself? This is the time, Aquarius rising. You're a great thinker. Now it is time to think with the people in your life, to really connect with the larger groups and the society that you're a part of and see who is meant to be there. You're going to be noticing a lot more conversations around these topics with people, but please know that when Mercury goes retrograde at the end of November, you also might be going back over old topics with friends or maybe reconnecting with people that you haven't talked to in quite some time. Last but not least, Aquarius rising, marriage and partnership is going to really get a huge surge of energy as Mars enters Leo for you. Now, when this occurs, this can be really positive as it could bring sexual energy, it could bring motivation, it could bring a spark to the relationship. But at the same time, Mars is the planet of battle. And so this could easily manifest as arguments with a spouse or conflict or any sort of tension or resistance when it comes to anybody that you have a contract with. Now, if it's not a spouse, this could be a client or a business partner or even a really, really close friend. Whatever one-to-one partnerships that you have in your life, please know that Mars moving through Leo, which will be active for a while, going even into the spring of next year, we will still be feeling this energy. There's a lot to be worked out when it comes to this area, and Mars is going to give you the drive, the determination, and the sustained energy to get the job done. So that's the positive here. Be aware of dramatic situations, though, with your spouse or with close friends or colleagues or people that you're in a contract with. Be conscious of any sort of issues of pride, but also please know that this is an amazing time to introduce play and fun and some sort of like childlike energy to that relationship. This is a great opportunity to lean into what it is that makes you feel youthful in your partnership and lean into that as well as leaning into that with your friendships, because ultimately this is going to help you feel more like yourself more than likely and also really feel like you're in alignment with the people in your life. Pisces rising. Pisces rising, how have you been feeling when it comes to your beliefs, your spirituality, your connection with source and the divine? This new moon is activating that house for you, and it's all about your beliefs and what expands your mind. Now, this also does include long distance travel and anything foreign or international. And so, if there's a trip that you've been really wanting to go on, a place you've been wanting to visit, this new moon is the best opportunity to plant those seeds and set the intention surrounding where it is that you want to go visit. Where do you want to go to help expand your horizons? That's really the key for this new moon. Now, because it's activating your spiritual beliefs and your higher education and your philosophy on life, and the fact that Scorpio energy is nothing to play with and it loves to go deep and go beneath the surface, this could be a time when you're learning about topics that really speak to your beliefs in a way that maybe you've never felt them before. You might be diving deep into spirituality or religion or philosophy. You might be having to feel the emotions of what resonates for you and what doesn't, and understand that whatever it is that you feel does resonate with you, you are setting that into motion. And May 12th, 2025, we are having the full moon in Scorpio. That is when this energy will be culminating. So if you have been wanting to go on a trip, book that trip for 6 months out, right? Around springtime in the middle of May, you might find that it's coming into fruition and way easier to go on that trip. It might even be that that trip is scheduled for sometime around that time. Now, again, that's just an example. Anything could happen here, but know that this is the area of your life where you're looking to broaden your horizons. And so, wherever and whatever that looks like for you, plant those seeds now, because in 6 months, as you cultivate that energy, you will reach the peak of whatever that is that you've been wanting to really understand deeper. Now, on top of that, Mercury is entering into your 10th house of career, which means you're talking about your career, you're thinking about your career. And if you're in a career that involves some sort of communication, this might be a time when you're asked to present, to speak, to have certain conversations that you need to have. Mercury is also the planet of buying and selling and anything exchange like. So this is a great time to dive into anything like sales, where you're, again, kind of going back and forth with another person, any sort of one-to-one client work, anything that involves communication. This could even just simply be writing or speaking, or even just using your voice, such as singing, or any sort of audio work. Maybe you're dealing with digital things. Whatever that is for you, Pisces rising, know that your mind will be on all things career, especially as Mercury goes retrograde on November 25th. You may feel like you're really reflecting on your career, and if it feels like it's in alignment for you, or if it does not, you might be reflecting on ways that you can move it more into alignment. Last but not least, Mars is entering into your house of your physical health and well-being, as well as the work that you do and your day-to-day routines. Now, Mars being here does mean that you might feel way more motivated to take care of your body, like getting into the gym, getting a good workout routine going. Maybe you start running on a daily basis or start lifting on a daily basis. Mars being here really is going to activate that desire, drive, and motivation to get a routine going that allows you to take physical care of yourself. This is something with Mars energy that you can really lean into, because Mars is fire and Leo is fire, right? These two together really activates that sense of action and motivation and movement in the physical body. Now, I will say that Mars being in your 6th house of health could bring some obstacles. So please make sure that you're on top of your health and being proactive, because Mars being here could activate and maybe even trigger some issues. I will say that because Leo does rule over the cardiovascular system and specifically the heart, please make sure that you are taking care of these things and, again, adding them into your routine, while also being sure that you don't burn out. This is still a fire sign. And by doing so, this could lead to any sort of like circulatory issues or heart issues. We want to avoid those things. Make sure that you're taking good care of your heart health. That goes with the exercise you're doing, but also with the foods you're consuming and what your day-to-day practices are. Make sure that if you have a lot on your plate, that you're learning to take care of your body and not, again, overworking yourself, which could easily lead to burnout. But ultimately, this is the time to expand your horizons, to set routines that feel good, that feel like you're taking care of yourself, and also consider who it is ultimately that you want to be and what labels you want to have, as that's really going to be the crux of this new moon, and is going to bring you not just into this new moon and into November, but also throughout the rest of 2024 and even into 2025. All right, guys, so I hope that information was of value to you. If it was, make sure you go ahead, hit the like button, make sure you've already subscribed, send this out to anybody that you know. If you're interested in a more in-depth reading, if this wasn't enough, or maybe it was just a great taste, but you want the full dish, link is below to book a birth chart reading. Scorpios, book a solar return chart reading if you want to know what's up for you for the following year. And as always, anybody is welcome to book a monthly reading. November is quickly approaching, and if you want to know deeper how your personal planets are getting affected by what we just described today, please go ahead, hit that link, and we can chat over Zoom. But I hope you guys have a happy Halloween. I hope that you enjoy the beginning of November. I know it's coming up with a lot of drama, but ultimately, this is the time to lean into whatever area of life this new moon is activating and set those intentions. Great week to do so, as it's going to be the beginning of not only a new month, but also a new 6-month lunar cycle. So with that, you guys have a wonderful 2 weeks. Remember, this forecast is now going to be every 2 weeks, but you are getting the full shebang with the horoscope. So please make sure you listen and share this out and look out for the next forecast coming to you in just 2 weeks. Hope you guys have a wonderful time. I send you so much love, and I will see you all in the next video.